Hello everyone. Earlier I created this stencil on a gel press plate of this coastal scene, and I posted it in the group, and then someone asked me how I did it, so I said I'd do a little video, but I didn't want to bore you all with all my videos, so hence why I didn't do one. But I got asked, so here it is. I'm using Distress Oxide inks and Versafine black, broken china, twisted citron and cheerful yellow. Here's my Geli Plate, and here's my stencil that I've hinged with a piece of brown tape so I can keep checking and repositioning it so it goes back in the same place. So here we are, we're going to sponge on with our dauber the colours that we want to use in this, and the first colour is going to be blue. There'll be pencils, Posca pens and black pens to just define some lines that I might have missed. So here's the broken china. I'm just going to load up my little felt pad here, and then this is all about gradient of colours. So you want to start off at one corner, hold your stencil down, and then just brush away so that you'll get your colour to blend with the next colour rather than a line being created. And just brush on like you would as if you were brushing onto a piece of card. It'll be there, it'll be quite faint in places, but it'll be there. So have faith in yourself. Have a check, lift the stencil, it's hinged, it'll go back in the same place, and take your colours up however far you want on the stencil. So there you go, look. Next will be the twisted citron. So we need to change the pad here. Pop on the green one. It's velcroed, so they just adhere. Here's the twisted, the twisted citron. And then blend it gently against the blue, the broken china, and just push away again. And so you blend one with the other. Mix it in a bit with the blue as you go along. I've chosen 3 colours, but you could just have 2 colours, colours of your choice. I just fancied doing these tonight, that was all. And you can have more colour of one than the other. So now here we go on to the cheerful yellow. You can wash these pads as well if you want, but I don't. I'll just put the next colour on top, and I sometimes get something a bit different, but hey, that's okay too. So I'm going to be using my watercolour paper 300 GSM to take the print of this. So there we go, just checking. Of course, we're going to remove this when we take the print. Just make sure you've got all the gaps. Moving that out the way, get your piece of watercolour paper. Lay it on, and here's my handy dandy coffee jar lid. Thank you, Mr. Kenko, I really appreciate it. And it's a glass lid to a coffee jar that I use as a brayer. I've taken sort of the plastic suction bit off, and the glass just conveniently sits in your hand and lets you press away to get a good print. Didn't cost me anything other than a jar of coffee. Just have a look, just keep pressing away. You can even turn the coffee jar lid over to the bulbous, there we go, over to the bulbous hand part. Just give it one last press over. Hopefully we should have a print. There you go. You can do this with any stencil. And then just push this over to the side and you can start creating the image you want. I'm going to do a coastal scene. So you just sort of, in my mind's eye, I know what I want. It's just making sure you place it on the paper to give the effect you want. So here I'm bringing in the Versafine Onyx Black. And this is my lighthouse. Just check your stamps so that you haven't got any, like that, catching on your block, because that will come out on your stencil print. You don't want that after you've just done all that work. So positioning this a bit higher up the paper because I want it to sort of sit on a mound of earth. And I'm going to put a Canadian goose on there as well. So it's all got to fit in somewhere. Just letting it rest here because some detail in the stamp. I want it to adhere to the inks I've just used on the paper. And where it's missed, just fill in using a brush. It's the same ink, it'll blend in when it dries. It won't look any different. Now I've got to bring the Canadian goose in here. I find it easier to put the goose or whatever image you're thinking of first and then put the mound of earth, grasses, whatever you want to use after. Because then you would know where the feet are going to be or where the object's going to sit on the mound. Just check your stamp again. I always have a bit of a cloth on my knee that I pull up and just use it because they're never where I leave them. Like a pair of specs. They do their own walkabout thing. Just let that get absorbed into the paper and gently remove it. There we go. Now, although the goose is sat on some ground already, we need to put the lighthouse onto the mound and ground it. It's floating in the air at the moment, as you can see. So here's my little stamp of grasses that I just keep stamping away, popping the building onto a platform and then build it round the goose and tie it in with the existing grasses that the goose came in on. Sometimes what you've got in your mind's eye is not always what you can create, but you just work with it, keep going, think about it. You can always come back and add a bit more. And don't worry about where it's gone over onto the sides of the card, because I'm going to trim those off anyway. So that's not a problem. So here I've got a little abandoned boat that I'm going to pop on. And I want it to look like it's got stuck on the ground rather than in the sea. So what you'll find is you'll have to go back in and put some more grass tufts so the boat's actually grounded as well. Excuse me. Otherwise that'll be floating as well. So from here I'm going to pop the seagulls on to give some interest in the sky, otherwise it looks quite bare. Just a couple. It gives some added interest. You don't want too much clutter. Sometimes less is more. There we go. And just a flock of birds flying away now in the distance, and we're nearly there. We've just got to put the colours in on the Canadian goose. You need some feathers and some sand on the beach. So here you can see I'm highlighting certain areas now to just make it pop a little off the page, and the white Posca pen's great for that. It just gives a bit of detail into the image now. There's just the sand and the feathers to do on the goose, and possibly a bit of black highlighter pen, and we're nearly there. Slowly coming together. You do as much as little as you want, but your eye starts to wander around the picture and you can see little bits that you want to smarten up, and that's just what I'm doing now. It's just those final bits now, the details. I use a charcoal sandy coloured pencil stick for the sand in the grasses, and it's great because you can smudge it as well as leave it as you apply it, and it just gives some nice definition and pulls in the top of the golden colours on the top of the picture with the bottom part of the picture as well, so it all starts to blend together. So here I'm going to use the charcoal sticks again and just pop the feathers into the goose and the sand on the beach, and there'll just be some final touches and we're nearly there. So they're the charcoal pencils. This is the green for the grass, and nearly there. So there you go. There's the images, the one I first put up and the second one we created in an opposite blue corners, gold tops, but you get the idea. You could frame it if you want a little picture, but you'd have to get a bigger frame than this mount I've got, or use it for the card front, for a greeting card to someone who lives by the sea. A bit lengthy, but thanks for watching. I enjoyed doing it again. I hope you got something from it as much as I did. Until next time, thanks for watching.